as I'm not a native English speaker, right? So at first, I also find it very difficult to write a paper, right? But what I've learned most is during when I write my PhD thesis, right? Because you really have to write about maybe 200 odd pages, right, in a very systematic way. So I learned to do literature survey, review, right, and then present the work done by the others in a systematic way in terms of the timing, right, different methods, and then I have to divide my work into different chapters, right. And I remember that when I was in England, right, I studied in England, there was one chapter. I remember when I write the conclusion, my supervisor said that, oh, that's not good. So I revised it, submit it again, and then he said, no good, right, for 5 or 6 times. And then later on, he wrote most of it for me. And so really, I definitely learned a lot from the process because it took me a few months to do it. The methodology and also different chapters, how I present my findings so that it is understandable. So I think it's a very good training for me. Right? Then since then, when I took on my job in CTU, and when I write paper, I can remember my experience. I wrote my thesis, so that's good. Yeah, I found it. When I was young, one subject I hate is English. So at first, and in fact, I always fail in English examination. So I have a bit of phobia about writing English, right? But I think the academic training is very good, right? Because you really have to write reports, and then you have to write your thesis, and then when I took up this job, we have to write papers. Okay, so if my English is not good, then my paper will be rejected. In fact, when I came to CTU and start writing papers, in fact, I was very fortunate that I had a colleague, right, and a senior colleague. He collaborated with me, and he graduated from Oxford, and his English was perfect at that time, right, perfect. So I mean, after I wrote the paper, I give him to, correct the English, and I find it's very helpful. Yeah. So I think the most important thing is you learn from others, right? When you look at when you look at the paper, you're not looking at the knowledge itself. You also look at how the authors present the ideas, right, in a logical way and in a clear way. And then you also learn from the way that they present it. Yeah. So there are different aspects you learn when you read papers. So that's important. I think for students now, usually we advise the students to not only read the lecture notes, but also read textbooks and reference books. That is important. In fact, when a student read the textbooks, right, they are not just giving the knowledge. Because in the textbook, it also gives a very good presentation or introduction about the topics, areas. And also, if it is English textbook, I think the writing must be good. Right? So my advice is for students, when they read textbooks, they also learn about how the author, right, present the material, and also learn about the style, maybe how they write it in simple English. So that's what they can learn from it. And also, if they also have the chance to maybe read academic paper, research paper, they also maybe also analyze, right, how the authors present it. Yeah. So always keep learning about this, and this is quite useful.